Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing two of the biggest tips that I have for the filler pass in like a standard wall piece of pipe that we've got here. One of them I still struggle with today, and I struggled with the whole time I was pipelining. If you're new here, my name's Austin Ross. I've been a welder for about 15 years. 7 or 8 of those years I was a pipeline welder. Learned a lot about welding pipe. Still crave the pipeline from time to time. It's a super addicting thing because you are honing in on a certain skill and you're able to practice that skill on the daily. I think that's one of the reasons I loved it. Anyway, if you're new here, thank you for being here. We greatly appreciate it. We do not take your click for granted. It supports the channel just by watching this video, by subscribing. You support us by supporting us in our online store, arosswelding.com. Anything you do supports us, and we greatly appreciate it. It allows us to continue to share information and help others, and hopefully grow and help the whole welding community. Real quick, if you have had your eyes on the pipe fence course, I've got some really good news for you. For the next 2 days, you can have access to all the information in the pipe fence course for just $87. That is a payment, 1 out of 4 payments, but we wanted to offer that because 2 days is a short amount of time to decide. A lot of value, a lot of information in this pipe fence course. For those of you that have been following, you know what I'm talking about. But if you're watching this video whenever it's published, today is July 8th, 2022. Enrollment is open from now through this Sunday, July 10th at midnight. You can find the course at arosswelding.school. If you have any questions or you're having any trouble finding the information or checking out there on the website, text me at 405-643-7176. One more thing, if you're new here or maybe you don't have any idea what I'm talking about, pipe fence course, what is that? Or you don't know what a digital online course is at all, in short, you can learn what it took me 10 years to learn about building pipe fence in just 7 or 10 days. With that being said, the beautiful thing about a digital course is you can go at your own pace. So you can purchase this course now, and if you don't have time to get through it within the next 2 weeks, that's all right. You can just log back in a month from now and start taking the course. Pretty incredible, I know. Again, you can find the course at arosswelding.school. All right, so what we've got here is an 8-inch piece of pipe. It's 322 wall, which is just under 3/8 of an inch thick, and we've got a bead and a hot pass in it so far. We've been using, we used 1/8 6010 5P plus for the bead, and we used 532 8010 for the hot pass, and that's what we're going to be using on the filler pass. Also, it's a downhill welding rod, a cellulose welding rod. The number one tip that I have for the filler pass, and really any pass, but specifically on your last filler pass, and in this situation this should be our last one. We might have to run a little bit in the side, you know, like maybe half a rod here or so in the side if it's still a little bit low, but ideally we're gonna put just this pass and then we'll be ready to cap. But in this video we're just focusing on the filler pass. Anyway, my number one tip is to practice putting the same amount of metal in the pipe all the way around the pipe. In other words, filling up the bevel an even amount all the way around. And that's somewhat difficult to do with pipe because with pipe you're welding in a lot of different positions all the way around. On the top of this piece of pipe here, we were kind of welding on a flat, and on the side we're kind of welding on a vertical, and on the bottom we're welding on overhead. So there's several different ways you can, you know, try to keep it consistent, but it's something I struggled with the whole time I was pipelining. The second tip that I would give when it comes to putting a filler pass in, or your last filler pass, is to practice not burning your edge away. Try leaving that edge. Oh, and I just thought of a bonus tip. try leaving that edge, because that will give you something to follow when you go to cap it. That's also actually something I struggled with whenever I started welding pipe. Whenever I first started welding pipe, I thought this right here would be like bad to leave that little, leave that edge, because there's a little bit of slag in there. Obviously you don't want it to be too deep, but I mean, even something underneath it, like right in here, I never wanted to do that. I had a bad habit of blowing my bevels out. In other words, burning this edge off. I had to, just because I wanted it sure enough to be clean. And although there's nothing wrong with doing that. You can blow that bevel away, but all you're doing is hurting yourself whenever you go to cap, because you're having to cap a wider area, if you blow that edge off too much. So that's one thing that I practiced as I was pipelining, was trying to keep from burning that edge away. Not only does it help you to see where you're going, because you have a straight line to follow, but it also helps you to put a potentially prettier cap on, because you're just putting the bare minimum on. And so where that really benefits you is on a let's say a 500 wall. Nowadays you don't really have to cap 500 wall with a single bead. 500 wall, a lot of times you got to put a 3 bead cap nowadays, but back in the day this would be similar to like a 500 wall cap. And capping, and we call this a puddle cap because it's just one pass. So the wider your bevel is, the harder it is to puddle cap it, essentially, is what I'm saying, without it being concave or whatever. So the more narrow your bevel is, the easier it is to cap. And really that starts all the way down at the bead, and I believe I mentioned that in the bead or hot pass video whenever I was talking about my tips about each pass. There's a couple different videos that I go into more detail. One video I go into more detail on the bead, and the other one I go into more detail on the hot pass. You can check out those videos. They'll probably be in a playlist here on the channel, but I talk about that whenever you go to do your fit up, because whatever your fit up is, however big of a gap you take on your bead determines how wide your bevels are. It sounds like common sense, but I mean, I know I didn't focus on it whenever I was first starting to weld pipe, because I was so concerned about getting that bead in. I wanted to have plenty of space. I didn't want anything tight. And although that's good, you just got to look ahead a little bit and think about your cap. But anyway, I could go on and on. Just like I've said previously, if you follow us at all here online, I talk a lot about a lot of variables that go into welding, and that's very true. But I hope if you're just not getting into pipe welding, these tips can be used for uphill welding too. Because even if you're doing 70-18 uphill, it's still good to try to practice leaving that bevel. And I would venture to say it's even tougher. I don't weld uphill 70-18 on pipe very often, but the little I have, it's something that I could use a lot more practice in. I'm a firm believer in always room for improvement. I was still working on dialing this in whenever I was pipelining. So, but all that to say is 70-18 would be a little more difficult with this small of a bevel. It's a that's why they call welding a skill. It's a skill that you can always improve on. So anyway, I hope these tips were helpful. I know that the guys I learned from whenever I was pipelining, throwing me little tips here and there, helped me a bunch, and I just want to pass it along in hopes that it helps you in your welding career. This could go for any welding procedure, but if you are looking to pipeline or weld pipe, I hope these tips were helpful. Don't forget to check out our website, arosswelding.com, for more helpful resources. If you have any questions for myself or my wife, Kayla, on anything we do here online about the online store, arosswelding.com, you can text those questions to 405-643-7176, or you can get on my email list. You can find it by going to our website, arosswelding.com, and get on the email list. You just give us your email and you'll get notified whenever we have a course launch or anything else that we want to announce. The email list or that text, that community text number I just told you, are the two best places to find out about what we have going on. Thank you so much for your support. Have an awesome weekend, and remember, learn something every day.